All right, so in 5.3a, we're going to start graphing lines in a special way, and we're going to become very familiar with something called slope-intercept form. Now, we've talked about these two things separately, and now we're going to put them together in a special formula. So before we do that, I want to kind of talk to you about, why we use slope-intercept form and how it works, because you guys are going to be asked to graph lines in slope-intercept form, and then tell me what the slope and the intercept is just by looking at slope-intercept form. So I can tell you right now that these equations up here in these examples are all in slope-intercept form. Okay, anytime you have that y equals a number times x plus or minus another number, those are in slope-intercept form. So we're going to kind of break that down and see how we can make a line just from this equation. Okay, so how we do that, we've seen a table of values before. I'm giving you all of the x values and asking you to find what y is, so that way we can have an ordered pair. Okay, so first number we're going to plug in is going to be -1. So anytime I see an x, I'm going to plug in -1. So I'm going to start by doing y equals 2. I'm going to pause. I'm not going to write x. I'm going to write -1. Plus 6. So all I did was recopy this, but instead of writing x, I wrote a -1. So my x value is -1, and if I do 2 times -1 plus 6, I get 4. So I'm going to do that 2 more times with different numbers for x. So I'm going to write y equals 2 times 0 this time, plus x. So my x value is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, plus 6 is 6. So I'm getting ordered pairs every single time. Now I'm going to do y equals 2 times 1 this time, plus 6. And my ordered pair would be 1. 2 times 1 plus 6 gives me 8. So now I have 3 different ordered pairs that I can put on my coordinate plane. And hopefully I should get a line. So let's see, I'm going to go over -1 up 4, over 0 up 6, and over 1 up 8. And it looks like I do have a line. I'm going to connect those dots the best I can without a ruler. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of break down what is in this equation and why do points on a slope-intercept form are always going to form a line. Why does that happen? So let's break it down. If you scroll down a little bit more, let's talk about what the y-intercept is of this line. You guys have been doing that. So where does this line right here cross the y-axis? And you should see that it's at this guy right here. This is where that line crosses the y-axis. So my y-intercept is 6. Now let's talk about slope. So our slope is my rise over run. So if I count how many up, 1, 2, how many over, 1, that means my slope of my line is 2 over 1, which is also just 2. So, magic, let's look up here at my original equation. So y equals 2x plus 6. This number right here is my y-intercept. This number right here is my slope. Okay, so that's kind of the formula. You're always going to see those numbers pop out when you graph that line. Okay, so let's talk about what the heck slope-intercept form is. All of those lines up top follow this formula. Y equals mx plus b. So this b right here, if we look back here, is my y-intercept. And this m is my slope. Okay, so y equals mx plus b is something that you're going to hear over and over again, and something that's going to be so important for how we graph lines. So I'm going to go ahead and make a little note here, and I want you guys to do it with me. This b is the y-intercept, and this m is the slope. So whatever number is in this part of the formula is going to stand for my slope, my rise over run. And whatever number is over here at the very end is my b, and that's the y-intercept. And that's what we saw in this equation. You didn't know it yet, but this is in slope-intercept form because it's in y equals mx plus b. So when we start graphing this in a little bit, the trick is we're going to begin our graph at whatever that b number is. So you're going to begin by putting that point on the y-intercept. Okay? Remember, that's where it crosses the y-axis. And then we're going to move, do our continuing points using that slope. And that's our rise over run. So the next time we're all together and the next time we talk about lines, we're going to be talking about taking this equation and graphing lines with it. Okay? So that's just kind of some background information. I'd love for you guys to try example 2, just this table of values, and seeing what the y-intercept and the slope is. I'm going to go ahead and get you started and then have you guys finish it. We're just going to go ahead and skip number 3. So remember, we're just plugging in these x values. Y equals -5. You guys are going to plug in -1. Oops. -4, and try to get your ordered pair. So -5 times -1 is +5, -4 is 1. Okay, so there's your first ordered pair. I'd love it if you guys could go ahead and finish these off, get your ordered pairs, plot the line, and then figure out what your y-intercept and your slope is. Okay?